Science fiction fantasy has become a reality. Cloning is not a distant future, it is now. Scientists have successfully cloned whole animals and human embryos. But with this scientific development comes great risk, and with great risk comes great responsibility. But who is to be held responsible? We are the Senate subcommittee tasked with answering that question, and we are here to tell you the facts. The promise of cloning. The issue of cloning is best discussed in three parts: human cloning, animal cloning, and organ cloning. Human and animal cloning addresses both the cloning of whole organisms and embryos. Organ cloning involves the cloning of organs as separate entities. There has been no conclusive evidence that whole body human cloning will become a reality within the near future. However, embryo, whole animal, and organ cloning are feats that have already been accomplished. Scientists are confident that the further development of cloning could drastically improve agricultural and biomedical practices. The risks. Cloning of any sort poses serious ethical dilemmas. Cloning is not a perfected science. Multiple attempts are required to achieve success, and the subjects of the failed attempts are a hotly debated issue. A low success rate means that hundreds of animal and human embryos do not survive. Dolly, the first cloned mammal, was the result of thousands of failed attempts. For many, embryos hold the same status as fully formed beings, and so their deaths are considered inhumane. Furthermore, even successful clones are not entirely perfect. Cloning is a precarious science, and whole body animal clones have proven to have shorter lifespans than their natural counterparts. They typically experience serious health problems far earlier in their lifetimes, and many fear that this is due to a kink in the genetic chain that science will never be able to work out. Lastly, and perhaps more importantly, there exists a prevailing fear that this technology will proffer unintentional but permanent and disastrous effects. Is cloning a grievous affront to the natural world and the process of evolution? If cloning eventually leads to successful gene therapy, will the manipulation of genetic codes permanently destroy the natural progression of evolution? Many feel that proper regulation of cloning would resolve many of the risks involved with cloning. But the questions remain. Who is to claim authority over these regulations, and how should cloning be regulated? Many fear what many fiction writers have already imagined, that even with regulation, the technology of cloning will be abused. Human beings will be cloned for the sole purpose of disseminating their parts. Genetic data will become a commodity, and people and animals alike, whether naturally conceived or cloned, will be taken advantage of and abused. What the people think. Public opinion shows that people do not approve of human cloning. Today, only 13% of Americans approve of human cloning, and 34% approve of animal cloning. For many Americans, human and animal cloning violates their religious and societal values. Some fear will mean the destruction of individuality. What our government has decided. Only 21 states have passed any sort of legislation on human cloning. Every one of these 21 states have banned the use of cloned embryos for reproductive purposes. A little over half have approved the use and destruction of cloned embryos in scientific research. That means just under half of these 21 states have banned the cloning of embryos for any purpose. The general consensus is largely undecided. But who has the expertise to make decisions concerning cloning? Could cloning eventually fulfill its promised potential? Should we brave the risks to find out? The only thing we can say for certain is that cloning is a topic that cannot be ignored. As a reality of our modern world, we must make decisions that could heavily impact our future. This is not science fiction, and we do not know the ending to this story. We must write it.